Hello, I would like you to repeat after me. I am not a trauma dump. I am not a trauma dumpster. I am not a trauma dump truck. Now that could be your mantra if you happen to be one of those people that have any bit of empathy for other people, or even worse, you have a ton of empathy for other people and you consider yourself an empath. Because for some reason, when you have a lot of empathy for other people, they tend to look at you and they say, oh, look at that kind, compassionate soul. I'm going to dump my trauma all over them. Or, looks like you could use some secondhand trauma. So if that happens to be your situation, please feel free to use those mantras. You can say them in your head. You can say them out loud. You probably won't say them in front of other people, especially those other people that are doing the trauma dump. But it's something useful that you can keep in your back pocket to use on those occasions when you feel like this is a bit much. Maybe you get headaches, maybe your chest hurts, maybe you get anxiety when you see a certain number pop up on your phone. Well, if you have to take the call, and usually you don't, or if you have to read the email, and usually you don't, then you might want to harken back to the I am not a trauma dumpster mantra. Now, in today's meditation and art session, we're going to support that mantra, belief, quote, with a little bit of meditation work. And then I'm going to have let's say, what is your alternative to hearing someone else's trauma? If you can't just say, hey, I don't feel like hearing your trauma. You could say, hey, can I lead you on a little meditation? I find that it really helps me out sometimes when I'm going through a hard time. So let's begin. Metamorphic arts, creative inspiration for spiritual empowerment. Dust off your soul. All right, what do we do about this trauma dump situation? Well, firstly, you're not a monster. So you're probably going to listen to your friends' worries and sorrows. And that's okay. That's what we are here to do. That's what being a friend is. However, there are limitations to this. If you have a friend that is always giving you how terrible their life is, and they're not trying to improve it, and you know who they are, then you can choose not to pick up the phone, or not to answer the email, or not to hang with them for coffee or whatever. You need to protect your personal space and your love of life. So just be reasonable. The other thing is, if this person is not really a friend, perhaps they are a narcissist or a sociopath or a psychopath, then you do not need to be their trauma dump. Hi. You need to gray wall. Gray walling is where you are very neutral about the information that is coming into your face from their face. So they tell you something super positive. There's a sale on shoes at Nordstrom's and they scored these whatevers. You don't care. Good for you. Great for you. I'm so happy for you. That's your journey. Something negative happens. Oh, you couldn't believe that the blah, blah, blah government. You're like, okay, I'm sorry you feel that way. But you are not intaking any of that emotion. So secondly, you have to put the gray wall on your side. You can't tell them the happy news. You can't say, oh, my grandkid is expecting a baby, or I just won this prize, because they don't care. And they're not going to give you any love on account of you doing something great. So gray walling is you just you're very neutral. You don't get into their thing, whether it's positive or negative. And you don't share your positive or negative. So that's the most extreme thing that you might have to do with someone else. If, of course, you can't just, leave the situation entirely. Now, those are the practical things to do on a daily. You can interact with people who are your friends. You can gray wall people who are narcissists or non-empathetic or sociopaths or psychopaths, because there's more out there than you think. Sometimes it feels like that anyway. And you can actively remove the cords that you already have, the cords of negative energy that you have. So how do we do that? Well, think about your energy, okay? Think about when someone calls you on the phone and you see the number pop up, and all of a sudden you get this anxiety. Where does that live? Are you getting a headache? Does your chest hurt? Does your tummy hurt? That's where your cord is that's tied to this person. And that's what you need to cut. So if you don't have an active negative cord situation going on currently, but you know that you have something, what you can do is rub your hands together, get some nice static going. You can kind of feel your hands and stuff. And you're going to test out your chakras. So you can start from the bottom up, top down. Oh, your hands down. My dog likes to lick my leg. He's cleansing me. So you're going to feel over, this is your crown chakra, your third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, second chakra, and your root chakra. And you might notice when you're going over them, one of them feels a little bit squishy, a little bit like mashed potatoes. Okay, we're good. We're good, buddy. We're good. You might notice that one of them feels like squishy or like mashed potatoes. That's where it is. So you can, some people cut the cord. I like to pull it out. Pulling it out takes a little bit more effort, but you want to make sure you don't have anything left that they can attach to later. So let's say I have a throat one, right? You're going to concentrate. You're going to pull on the energy. You're going to say to yourself or out loud, I am disconnecting this energy of another person that no longer serves my greatest good. And you might find yourself kind of struggling to pull it out. And you might feel a little pop when you finally get it. And you're going to let it recoil back into that other person. So it kind of, you can imagine you have a measuring tape and it's going zip back into that other person. You're not hurting them. It's their energy you're giving back to them. It's theirs. It's not yours. You can let it go. Okay? You might need to do this in a couple different places. It doesn't have to be your chakras. It can be your hands, your feet, your knees, your shoulders, the back of your head, your ears. It could be anything. It's whatever. It's just wherever it is where you need to release it from. So you're going to do that. You will feel a little bit lighter, a little bit of a release. Now, you may have to do it more than once. Of course, it's never that easy. So I would suggest if you've got something really intense going on, you're going to do it every day. You could do it in the morning, you could do it again before you go to sleep, but do it at least once a day until you feel like it's not there anymore. Of course, they can always re-up on it, but you can set some intentions for this practice by saying that you are bringing down a golden ball of light to fill your aura with positive energy, and that any unwanted negative emotions from other people are not welcome in your space. So when you cut your cords or pull your cords out and let them recoil back to the original person, and you may not know who that person is, just say it's not your energy. You can feel the difference between your energy and someone else's. And then you fill your space with light and protection. All right. Thank you for joining me on this part. Now, for the art. Hello. Today we are doing something a little different, and we are doing the meditation with the art. So we are going to create an obsidian wall to guard ourselves. So right now, obsidian is going into the sides of the mold, and we are thinking about how obsidian is something that is strong, and it can block and indeed reflect back negative energies. So we are going to find a position that feels supported. Let your spine be long, but not rigid. And you can close your eyes if that feels safe. Take a slow breath in through the nose. Let it fall out through the mouth. And again, in and out. One more time. And feel the weight of your body being held by this strong obsidian base. Now, as we are pushing the obsidian to the sides to form our wall of protection from anyone that wants to dump their trauma on us, you can bring to mind the moment when someone began pouring their pain and suffering into you without asking whether you had the space and the energy to receive it. You do not need to replay the story. That will only make it stronger, and it is not your energy to hold on to. Simply notice the residue that it left. This could be the heaviness in your chest, the tightness in the throat, or the queasiness in your stomach. You have sensed the storm that has arrived is not yours, but it is taking up space in your own weather system. And you realize you are allowed to protect the climate of your inner world, and you are not a monster for being precious with your resources and materials, and love and compassion, kindness and empathy. So now we begin the pour. And we are forming the ground from which we will draw energy and light. We begin with a black circle. For some, it is the void, as now we are adding gold and allowing it to grow. The white acts as a contrast, making us realize that darkness is not a void, but it is a space with infinite possibility. So imagine this as the ground beneath you, dark, ancient, volcanic. And from this ground, a wall of obsidian begins to rise. It is not built in anger, but rather it is grown from the earth itself. And we can watch it grow, smooth, glossy black, cool to the imagined touch. A canvas from which all light and energy erupt. It is thick enough that nothing emotional can pass through it. No negative emotions can come from the outside to disturb your peace, and none of your emotions can trespass to be disregarded or unappreciated. It is also tall enough that it stands between you and the other person's energy field. Indeed, we can always make it darker, more opaque, and less see-through, allowing our gold to emerge in wonderful fractal patterns. It is rooted so deeply into the earth through our grounding cord that it cannot be toppled by urgency, guilt, or the phrase, "But I just need to talk." As we add this red color, remember, this wall is our passion, and this wall does not hate them. It simply does not let their unprocessed storm become your weather. See their words and feelings strike the surface. Some slide off like rain on glass, dark black glass. And some are absorbed into the stone and neutralized, turned back into ordinary earth. None of it enters your body. On your side of the wall, the air is quieter. Your breath is still yours. Your nervous system can settle because it is no longer being used as a container for someone else's history. Place one hand on your chest if you wish. The wall is complete. Feel the boundary as kindness toward yourself. Silently or aloud if you are alone, please say, "I am not required to hold that which was never mine."